Friday, 29th of January 2021. Thank God, finally, January is ending. Hallelujah, somebody.
Amen, somebody. You know, the week doesn't end like that, too. But end of the day. But you know, I don't know why this morning Gorantila is on my mind.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
You want to try it?
You know, I don't do aphrodisiacs. Why would I even have to do aphrodisiacs? But you got me interested. I was listening to the piece and I was wondering, Anyway, that's just by the by.
And this is from somebody who says, I don't do aphrodisiacs.
Okay. No, I don't need aphrodisiacs.
Okay, but something moved you?
Out of curiosity.
Oh, so now you want to try?
I don't know, because legally, no. So you will see. When we get to Chachikata's bridge, we'll cross.
Let's say good morning to Joseph Akable. Joe, show us your face. Your eyes are... Oh, okay, yeah. You showed us your full face. That's fantastic. Good job yesterday. And actually...
Fantastic, always.
I can't even say good job because you're always on top of your job. So, yeah. Hey.
A reporter extraordinaire. I can see your head blowing up already.
But what was the reaction? You know, yesterday, I think the bomb really was the press conference after Marietta. And there came Frank Davis. And it was a blast all through. Usually when the other party is speaking, where is the other party?
So, you know, previously we used to do the interaction right at the exit of the court premises where it was very difficult to socially distance and do the interview. So we reached an agreement with the Judicial Service that a podium will be provided in front of the statues at the Supreme Court premises. So that podium is there. So the arrangement always is that when they are done, the side that comes out first comes to the podium to address us. So if you realize, in the past, it's always the case that the president's legal team tend to come initially to speak to us. Then afterwards, Mr. Mahama's legal team come after. But yesterday, for some strange reasons, when they both came out, the former president's legal team quickly approached the podium and they addressed us. And I mean, you could see clearly that they were very unhappy about what had happened. And if you listen closely to Marietta in this particular video that is showing on the screen, I mean, they really seemed very unhappy about the court decision, and it appeared it's one that has really affected what they were planning to do by way of the petition.
Yeah. I have a request, though. I know that the Judicial Service, they watch JoyNews. Well, we're grateful. But I have a request because, you know, it is fantastic that you've provided this platform for the parties to speak to us, which is great. Except that when the journalists are talking, when they're asking their questions, we don't hear the questions. So my humble appeal to the Judicial Service is to provide an extra microphone so that the journalists will ask the question. So how come we don't hear you?
Except that it's in the main feed. That's the problem.
Okay, that one, let me drop. I withdraw Judicial Service. I withdraw my request.
Council has taken a step
humbly,
back.
exactly. This one is more technical and I understand it. Okay, so let's go through the newspapers. I've got the Finder, Republic Press, and the Daily Dispatch.
The Daily Graphic here, the Custodian, and the Business and Financial Times.
Akable will do the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, and the Daily Statesman. Ben, why don't you start?
Well, let's start with the Daily Graphic then. Election petition hearing begins today as Mahama's application for review dismissed. Into pre-trial. And we're moving on from there. Of course, that story will talk about the interrogatories, the 12 that the NDC wanted to put to the Electoral Commission's chair, Jean Mensah, among other things. But I'm just doing the headlines now. We'll get into the stories proper. Ghana improves on 2020 Corruption Perception Index. COVID-19 cases surging at workplaces. Mama, you were saying a short while ago that we've crossed 3,900, right?
Yes, sir.
Not looking good. And what we hear, you know, I stumbled upon this story yesterday on Facebook where someone shares, you know, a story. It's not, the person doesn't have COVID, it's an elderly person, but the person has gone into a diabetic coma. But you're moving from hospital to hospital, and COVID patients have taken over all the ICUs. So there's no attention for you, emergency. Imagine someone in a coma and having a relative going round, and imagine the frustration of it. So, I mean, this is really shocking our health system, our economy, everything. And we need to, get grips on it.
Yeah,
when you go to the middle spread, it talks about the ILO ratifying conventions to protect workers' rights. Very important there. Government begins distribution of 22 million PPE to schools. On the back page, 9 children test positive for COVID-19 at CAF. Professor Samson Ainchi talking about that. And the police step up enforcement of mask wearing. Yes, so those stories in the Daily Graphic this week.
All right, let's do the headlines in the Republic Press newspaper. Banner headline: suspected COVID-19 patient stranded as Rich Hospital's test results delay beyond 14 days. COVID-19 and our markets business as usual. NLA in hot waters, fails to pay big wins since April. When I come back later, I will tell you about the Rich suspected COVID patient story and then that of the NLA. Joseph Akable?
Yes, Mamavi. So I'll quickly take you through the front pages of the papers that I have, starting first with the Ghanaian Times. It says COVID-19 scare will ensure safety of school children, DS assures parents. And Just Born Group secures €50 million deal with Hungarian government. Police gun 2 suspected armed robbers, 2 others arrested. And Ministry of Health invites public for free COVID-19 test, also on the front page. The center spread has some photographs, so specifically on page 16 and 17, from the funeral of Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, retired. The former president was laid to rest earlier in the week. And let's do the front page of the Daily Guide now. It says Supreme Court bounces Mahama, full trial begins today. Godfrey Dami wins Best Deputy Minister, also on the front page, and has a photograph of the former Deputy Attorney General and currently the Minister Designate for Justice on that particular front page of the Daily Guide. The Daily Statesman front page now. It has this story from the court. It says more defeats for Mahama as Chachu and co fail to meet Supreme Court thresholds. And please stop and search operation to check COVID-19 spread. Also on the front page, government commends stakeholders for cooperation during Rawlings' funeral. Another story on the front page of the Daily Statesman. The back page says, bottom side, Sheffield United and shock win to deny Man United top spots. I'm sure this is a story that Mavi should be worried and interested about at the same time. Yeah, Sheffield United, yeah, the bottom side. They won against Manchester United.
Means that is dead and buried. Gone. Oh, I can't believe.
It's an important story, so you have to take it.
Okay, whatever. Let's continue with the headlines.
Those are the papers for you, Mavi.
Okay, great. All right, I will continue with the Finder newspaper. Front page of the Finder, Ghana improves score on 2020 Corruption Perception Index. Police to stop check public vehicles for mask compliance. Ghana records 30 new COVID-19 deaths. Active cases now 3,940. Mahama's lawyers suffer fresh setback as Supreme Court dismisses review applications. CAF recording high COVID-19 positive cases involving children. MTN doles out $25 million to African Union for COVID-19 vaccinations. And FDA outlines program for 2021 amidst COVID-19 surge. That's how the front page of the Finder newspaper looks like today.
Well, let's check out the Custodian newspaper now. It says Ghana improves on corruption fight. That is on page 2. Akufo-Addo presents Papa J's epitaph. There's Ghana records 390 COVID-19 deaths. Active cases now standing at 3,940. Again, the bit about the NDC's petition. Judges clear Mahama's obstacles to petition trial as Chachu fails to meet legal threshold. Hearing begins today. But I also stumbled upon this interesting one here. Why Zaneto, Kimathi Rawlings are trending after J.J. Rawlings' funeral. That's on page 9. Have you seen, the trend on social media with the two of them and the sort of captions that have come up? Hilarious. I'm sure, I don't think we have a shot of that, but when you look at page 9.
Oh, this one.
Kimathi is talking to, Zaneto, and the sort of things they have said, Obisi Obeko is hilarious on social media.
We play too much.
Hilarious on social media. Upper West eulogizes late Rawlings. That's it with the Custodian newspaper by way of headlines.
Okay, let's do my last paper, the Daily Dispatch, and this is real when you see it and when I read it. Apart from impotence, COVID-19 may cause infertility, that's according to doctors. 2020 parliamentary results also contained in today's edition. How $2.4 billion of late Abacha's money was returned to Nigeria. National Lottery Authority has been paying big wins. Okay, so this is contrary to reports in two of the papers that I've seen, actually, which says that the National Lottery Authority fails to pay big wins since April. So we'll share the two stories. And then Jospon Group secures Hungarian government contract of 50 million euros to construct waste plants in Ghana. That's it for the Dispatch.
Well, my final paper, the Business and Financial Times, some of the other stories have been mentioned already, so I'll not go back to them. But a merry deal runs out on Sunday. Is government ready to take over? That's one that interests me right there. Is it? You can check out the details on page 3. Get fund not robust enough to finance tertiary fees. That's according to an education expert. My own man, Kofi Asari. We fight and then we make up. Then there's also this one. Macroeconomic issues. Fire explosions, top business concerns for 2021 per the research. Those are some very interesting stories in the Business and Financial Times. Shall we dig into the main stories then, Mama?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There are two stories that I'm looking at, maybe three if there's time. First, I want to look at the COVID-related ones, and I think there are different angles to it. So I'll start with what's in the Republic Press newspaper about COVID patients stranded at the Ridge Hospital. Essentially, the story says that the Greater Accra Regional Hospital is one of those centers where they do free COVID tests for suspected cases. If your symptoms look like COVID, then they will run a free test for you. What has happened because of this is that there are a number of people going to the facility to test, and they are not able to release the results early enough. In fact, there are people who have tested waiting 14 days, according to the story in the paper, who have not received their tests. And they will tell you, in some cases, to go home, come back maybe after a week and check on your results. What it means is you actually don't know if you have COVID or not. And if you don't take care of yourself, you might end up exposing your loved ones to the disease. So that's the troubling story in the Republic Press, with the Ridge Hospital not being able to release COVID results, test results in good time. Related to that.
But that really beats my mind. I know people who have told me they tested since last year in the thick of things. They never got their results. Some people, it's been said that, when they think you're negative, then maybe you don't hear from them. I think we ought to break this cycle, because it's simply mind-boggling. And assuming it's been a week, 5 days and more, you don't know you have the thing. At some point, you are tempted to maybe engage in certain activities only to find out that you are positive. Then what happens to the people who are exposed?
Yeah. And if you read the story in detail, some of them are attributing it to the fact that it is free, because they know people who go to private facilities and get it done and pay, and they get their results in good time. So there's somebody who says, for instance, she's pregnant. She says, me cry dear, today is 2 weeks old. The nurses said tomorrow, but I don't sneeze or cough again. And this is familiar. I have heard people who have said, I was feeling sick when I tested, showing all the signs, but it's been more than 2 weeks. I still don't have the results, but I think I'm even feeling okay. So you have to be more responsible. The fact that you run a test and you don't have the results doesn't mean that you should tell yourself, oh, I don't have COVID, so I can go ahead
because
and
you don't know.
No, you don't know, but you are feeling what you're feeling.
No, the point is,
and you have to take care of yourself and take care of the other people.
Once you don't have the result, you don't know. You cannot really tell whether you're positive or not. Because
but you can't be careless.
People react. No, I totally agree.
But you can't be careless.
In fact, corroborating what you're saying, I'm adding that you don't know because some people show symptoms, others show practically no symptoms.
So here's the thing that I would say. So you can't just look at the fact that I'm not feeling this and say, oh, I'm fine. So here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we have to be responsible. We've had conversations about the symptoms and the signs, but if you're not feeling well and you run a COVID test, don't sit at home. Go to a hospital, go to a clinic and speak to a doctor. It could be anything apart from what you think, apart from the fact that you're probably thinking it's COVID. It could be something else. So go to a hospital. I think that's the basic thing that we all have to do. And then related to it is the bit about, apart from impotence, COVID-19 may cause infertility. So this was a conversation on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM yesterday where Justice Yang Singh, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, was speaking to our colleague Kojo Yang Singh, and the paper has captured it on the back page of the paper from myjoyonline.com, where Mr. Yang Singh, for instance, says that, and I want to quote it too, so that you don't say I have said that it leads to blankets like that. So Justice Yang Singh stated that even though reports are not conclusive, damage caused to the testicular. You ready?
Testicular. Yeah, the
testicular cells by COVID-19 through hyperinflammation of the cell tissues may affect male fertility in the long run. So he said this, of course, whilst explaining the effects of COVID-19 on the sexual health of male patients. Then there's something also damage, sometimes also damage to the testicular cells, the cells within the tests. That is where testosterone is produced. Generally speaking, that is what makes us men.
When I listen to Dr. Youngson, and even as you read this bit, all the bit about Charlie, I could feel the pain. It's not easy.
So men, no, this one is the men, no, please. So you see, you can't say COVID is not real. Listen, it's got implications even when you get better.
Mama V, I was telling you earlier that even women are complaining about their libido dropping. They are complaining about their monthly flows.
Yeah.
I have personally spoken to some people who have had it, who have told me that, look, it affects you in certain ways. Even their flows are, impacted.
Akablay, what have you heard, apart from what we are talking about from doctors? Impotence, low libido?
What I heard is not a physical situation. I was told that when you're admitted to the ICU, they'll take your mobile phone from you. So the men, your wife will have your mobile phone for 14 days.
That could be disastrous for some people. I mean, imagine what you would do.
Seriously, when you find yourself in the ICU, this is what you'll be thinking about, worried that your wife has your phone for 14 days?
14 days.
Check out the look on his face when he says that.
Oh, yeah, Semo, but listen.
And you know what will happen is that because there is no national announcement that you're in the ICU, those who ordinarily contact you will be contacting you anyways.
No, but this is also quite revealing. Yeah.
It is. And the bit about...
Put a double password on your phone.
Well, at some point, I'm sure you'd need some help and you might have to let go of the password. And that is where all that will happen. But, I saw that statement recently by the Ghana Health Service with regard to free testing and all of that, especially if you're being contact traced and all that in public facilities. At least I think it is some progress, because one of the things I've always spoken about is the more you test, the more you know the reality of the situation.
Are you mindful of the free things? The free things is when people test 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they don't have results.
No, but I'm saying test, but don't delay for too long. I'll just do this one very quickly. It's tied to the conversation. It's from the Daily Graphic. I think the court petition, since we're going to be doing the stories in the show, we'll leave that for later. But Africa secures another 400 million COVID-19 vaccine doses. And it says these vaccines have been secured for the African continent through the Serum Institute of India, the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has been saying. I'm asking, Ghana, you know, we've been told, I think it was Dr. Okoboy recently who was mentioning that even when it gets into the system, there are priority areas. The security forces, first of all, the medical personnel, those on the front line, then security forces and all of that. Before maybe those of us without the pink sheets can also approach the bench and think of what we can get. But the best thing to do, avoid COVID. Don't catch it. No, just do the right things and hopefully you'll not get it.
Yeah. Okay, Joe, what story are you highlighting? Yeah.
I think mainly the court issues, but I saw this other story too. I'm trying to get to it quickly.
Okay, whilst you do that.
Yes, assuring that they will ensure the safety of school children. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure how they intend to go about that because this morning we're actually having a discussion about some stories that are coming from the various public schools, especially where there are serious compliance issues in terms of the protocols. And so I think beyond just the assurance from the GES, I'm looking forward to see how specifically they can deal with it. I don't know whether as a nation we're also paying attention to research in the sense that are we looking at those who are going to school? Is there any means of tracking to see how many cases, testing to check whether the protocols that are in place are actually effective? You know, in other jurisdictions, those are the kind of things that researchers are paying attention to so that it informs how we deal with matters going forward, especially if the COVID-19 is to stay and be with us for maybe the rest of our lives, and we don't have a vaccine that is very effective so that or is available so that everyone can get some. We should be looking at how effective those protocols can be in those social gatherings that are a part of our lives that we cannot do away without.
Yeah, and as a parent, when you hear the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, you know, the story coming from there, 10 days, 9 positive cases.
But the story we did this morning, actually, one of the doctors, the Ashanti Regional GMA president, actually says they found that some of the doctors and the nurses at the facility were attending to patients without wearing the nose mask. And that is of serious concern.
There's been a lot of complaint from those quarters, especially in the Ashanti region. Even last year, we heard of some of them who had contracted it, people who were losing their lives. There have been concerns. And you know, children, the proposal has been that children below 2 shouldn't use masks because of their nature and, you know, even respiratory system. And the fact that they like to take these things off. You ask yourself, so how do we deal with such situations now that the children are dying?
Absolutely. It's very scary. Really, really, really scary. But listen, we have to be calm about it. You have to remain calm because it's only when you're calm that you can reason properly. But we certainly have to take all the precautions. I wanted to touch on the NLA real quick. So apparently, and according to 2 of the reports in the papers, at least what I've spotted, NLA has failed to pay big ticket wins since April last year, leaving winners in total misery and financial difficulties. You know why people would use this means to get rich, right? I mean, you stick and you're fortunate and not fat, and then they can't pay you. I think that's like the biggest
your winnings, no winnings, not
yeah. So people are apparently, according to the report, turning away from 590 games from the NLA, and they are rather patronizing the banker-to-banker lottery, which is affecting the revenue of not only NLA, but the income of NLA Lotto marketers. But if you look at that story in the Daily Dispatch newspaper,
right?
Absolutely, it says that the NLA is urging the general public, staking players, Lotto marketing companies, I guess everybody, that they should ignore and discredit the news publication under the headline, National Lottery Authority fails to pay big wins since April.
Looks like Trump is still in the picture because they are trying to say that is fake news. Anyway.
But is it the sweetness of the pudding, they say?
Well, it's in the eating, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you chop that thing.
So I don't know.
Like okay, so I'll wrap up with this one. I'm very passionate about anti-corruption matters, and on page 2 of the Custodian newspaper, it says Ghana improves on corruption fight very briefly. Now, Ghana has improved her performance on the 2020 Corruption Perceptions Index released by Transparency International with a score of 43 points out of a possible 100. Ghana gained 2 points compared to its 2019 score of 41, and the country also exceeds the sub-Saharan African average of 32 points, equaling the global average of 43 points. And the score places Ghana in the 10th position in sub-Saharan Africa and 75th in the world out of 180 countries. The best ranked country in Africa, Seychelles, with 66 points. But you know, we've been hovering around this figure for a long time. We've gone 1 up, we've gone 2 down, and we're all...
Okay, we're going to wrap up, but Joseph, we want to give you the last say. You wanted to talk about the courts. The trial itself begins today.
Yes, the main business starts today. Mr. Sedin Ketia and Dr. Pesawa, if time permits, will be the ones to testify, and they'll be cross-examined as well. I'll be dashing off quickly so I can join you at some point for more on the court issues here.
Absolutely. All right. Joseph Akable is our court correspondent. It is big for all of us. Courts usually won't sit on Fridays, but they are sitting today. The trial of the 2020 election petition begins today.
Time is of the essence.
Yeah.
And the justices of the court are fully aware of that. Anything else to sneak in before we go for sports?
No. Joseph will bring us a lot more later on in the show. We have to take sports now.